Let me start off like this. These Ratliffs getting on my nerves. Now, I will say that two of them out of the five I actually kind of like, and one of them's pushing it, but I'm going to let youth be the reason why I give grace to that one. But as for that big three, I'm hoping them bullets from episode 1 took a vacay down at the Isles of Saxon and Victoria or down at the Tim Town, because I'm tired of all of them. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit. So let's get into the episode called Special Treatments. So we start off with Kate and Jacqueline over here talking crazy about Lori. And we knew from the last episode that it was either going to be one or all of them that was going to be messy and mean. Every time we saw them, it was a lot of Barbie girl in a Barbie world behavior. Just way too much plastic. And so Kate and Jacqueline are talking about Lori, and they're like, well, she been through it. Her daughter done got kicked out of 2 schools. The divorce hadn't treated her well. She had to pay that man palimony after he done mooched off of her. And Jacqueline was like, and on top of that, she didn't even probably get that promotion she was talking about all that time. So her job probably sucked too. And Kate was like, she just looked tired. And then Jacqueline was like, now hold up, girl. Didn't you just say she looked good? She said she does look good. However, she still looked like what she'd been through. Now, listening to this conversation, it could sound like concern. However, it just sounds like they gossiping about her. And I don't think there was any plan to be like, you know what, we should help sis out. She been through a lot. There's a difference between bringing up concerns and saying how you're going to help somebody and talking just to spill tea. They slick called her a drunk too. Then out of nowhere, Lori the Lush popped up and beat down their glass, scared the hell out of them. She was like, I just came to get my charger. The door was locked. So then it was time for everybody to wake up, and they showed the various ways that people were. And, you know, the only person that was really up was Piper doing her yoga situation. And then Lachlan wakes up and he's still checking out that tail on Saxon. So I'm trying to figure out, is this an adopted brother that's checking out his brother, or is this his actual biological brother? Something tells me that he's not adopted, because Tim doesn't give me the energy of a person who would adopt another man's son. Even some of the stuff that Victoria said this episode didn't make me think that he was adopted either. So moving along, Gaitok fixed Mook's bike, and he was like, hey, you want to get some lunch in a little bit? And she was like, but I'm supposed to usually eat lunch with such and such and such and such. And he was like, man, bump all that. Come on and go to lunch with me, and I want to talk to you about something. And she was like, what is it? He was like, baby, don't worry about all that. Just come to lunch. And I was like, girl, just go to the lunch. Stop playing with my man. Now, the part that made me laugh really hard is when Kate recognized Victoria, and she stopped at the table during like brunch or whatever and was like, hey, is your name Victoria? I recognize you from the boat. Do you know somebody named Claire? I think that's her name. And she was like, yeah, I know her. And she was like talking to her, and you could tell that Victoria didn't care anything about this conversation, was trying to get this woman to go away. To be honest, I think Kate actually recognized that Victoria didn't want to talk to her, but for some reason she was really insistent on Victoria actually knowing who she was and all that kind of stuff. And my thing is, if you recognize that somebody don't want to talk to you, baby, don't bless them with none of your time. They don't deserve it, because they don't really want it. Just go ahead about your business, sis. Which she did. She went back over to that table with her homegirls and was like, what the hell was that? I don't know what she talking about. Like, we stayed together for a weekend. Am I not that memorable? Back at the Ratliff table, though, Lachlan was like, now, mama, why were you rude to that woman? You knew she was trying to talk to you. And she was like, man, we went to that baby shower a decade ago. Do you think I really know that woman? We not friends. I don't desire any conversation with that woman. And Saxon was like, well, you know, her friend is Jacqueline, the actress. And Victoria was like, am I supposed to be impressed by that? You know, a lot of these actresses are pretty much sex workers. I mean, if they so lucky. So now we see what Victoria's like when she ain't on them drugs, or at least on a low dosage. And then we get into everybody's special treatments. And all of the Ratliffs got a special treatment except for Tim, because he said he just wanted to do the gym. Pam was like, well, we don't have nothing set up for you, but Tim needs to actually do something, maybe stress management, because that man was about to blow a gasket because he couldn't get Kenny Wynn to call him back just yet. And if we being real, a lot of these treatments look great. The massages, of course, but then you got that water tank that Lachlan was in. And Rick actually went to the stress management session with Amrita. Even though he didn't want to, Chelsea signed him up for it, but he needed it, because this man got in there and he said his stress level was about an 8. Now, of course, I believe he's lying. I'm thinking it's about 11 or 12, because his stress level is off the charts. And Amrita asked him, when did you last have a stress-free life? And that man turned around and said, ooh, baby. Well, my mom OD'd when I was 10, because she was a drug addict. And my dad died before I ever met him. So, you know, I don't really know. And then he went on to say, I don't need to detach. I'm already nothing. And I'm going to say this, Rick, you got to go back to the next session. You need to go back to that next session, as well as add something else, man. We need like some therapy somewhere else. One session won't do much good here. So then we back at the Ratliff Villa, And, they're done with all their treatments. And Victoria's out here ordering some food, and Saxon is making all kinds of noise. Then the dad storms in upset because Kenny Wynn hasn't called him back yet. So he's adding to the stress level of the room. And Saxon is always thinking about his love below, but ain't really landing the plane with anybody. Talking about his massage wasn't that great because it didn't come with a happy ending. And even though the mom is drugged up a lot and sleeps a lot, she is still a bit annoying, because I feel like she got this elitist mindset about her and feels like she's superior to these other people. But remember, sis, that elevator's going up, but it's going to have to come down at some point. So then we get back over here to Charlie's Angels, and Jacqueline, Kate, and Lori are talking about their test results that they got with Valentine. The insecurities are just floating about in this conversation because Lori was like, hey, he told me I was doing pretty good. And Jacqueline was like, yeah, me too. And Lori was like, he told me my BMI was this number. And Jacqueline was like, are you sure? Because he told me the same thing. And essentially she was like, I see myself and I see you, and I know we not the same BMI. And he told me my numbers were similar to somebody that was half my age. And Lori was like, I'm pretty sure he tells everybody that because he literally told me the same thing. And Kate was like, well, he didn't say none of that to me. In fact, he told me I was average. And honestly, I think Kate is going through something. Like that conversation earlier with Victoria where she kind of got shooed away. And then you got to think about this where she's being called average in her test results. She's not worried about Lori. She's thinking about trying to be on par with Jacqueline. And I'm not going to stay on this too long, but I just want to say that I like the relationship between Pornchai and Belinda. And when Pornchai came out there for Belinda to give him that massage, and he came out wearing nothing but his drawers, and he came out wearing nothing but his drawers, and he said, how do you want me? You could tell she was flabbergasted. And she looked and then had to look away because she saw some fineness on that Pornchai. Now, one of my favorite parts of the episode, I thought it was a really cute scene, was when Gaitok and Mook had lunch. And she was like, you stole this from the place over here? And he was like, nah, girl, I brought this from home. And she was like, you cooked a whole meal? And he was like, man, my mama did some of it. And so like they were sitting there and he wasn't really eating his food. And Mook was like, why aren't you eating your food? And you could tell he was nervous because he wasn't eating his food. He wanted to get to the point of what he was there for. He was like, Mook, I like you. And, we grew up in the same part of town. Your brothers like me. Like, we work over here in the same area. I know you're smarter than me. He said, but, I got them good hands, baby. You saw I fix your bike and stuff. Like, he was really saying why he wanted to be with her. It wasn't just like, you fine, girl. Like, it was a very heartfelt message. He was like, what do you think about that? And I was hoping she was going to say yes, but some told me she was going to say like no or maybe or something like that. But she essentially was just playing with this man, talking about, well, we haven't been on a date. And he was like, girl, we can go on a date tonight. In fact, we can go on a date every day. And then she was like, oh, stop being weird and eat your food. And I was like, you didn't really answer the question. Or did you? Because I know some Asian cultures, they don't say no directly. Sometimes they like redirect you, but they don't just say no flat out. All I'm going to say is, Mook, don't block your blessing. Buddy loves you. And then we get over to lunch with Chelsea and Rick. And I'm going to be honest, I'm sick of Rick's attitude. Like, Chelsea's trying to do stuff for him. She signed him up for that session with Amrita. So she asked him about it. She was like, how did it go? And, he said, well, she actually got me to sign up for another session, but I'm not really going to do that. And, she was like, you're so closed off. And he was like, and you're an idiot. And before Chelsea could even respond to Rick, Chloe shows up and introduces herself. And you could tell that he doesn't really want to talk to her. And Chelsea does what she did last episode with Mook, where she was like, oh, he's jet lagged. She keeps protecting him for some reason. And we're going to find out why at some point. And I can't wait to find out why he's actually there. Is he a hitman? Does Charlotte's husband owe him money? Because it's clear he didn't come for the wellness. So this conversation that Piper and Lachlan were having while they were in those hammocks over the water, I think that was a pretty cool scene. But it got weird. At first it was cool. Like Lachlan was talking about his treatment, saying he was in the water, and Piper was like, hey, did you meditate while you were in there? He was like, nah, but I did try to pray, and it just kind of felt like I was talking to myself. And Piper talked about having that deeper spiritual connection when she was praying or meditating and stuff like that. And she even corrected him when he tried to say, are you sure it's not that you just want something to be real so bad that you make it up in your mind that it's real? And she was like, no, it is actually real. And he stopped after that, but then he went into a weird direction. He was like, Saxon says you never had sex. And Piper understandably was upset when she heard him say this. And she was like, why y'all even talking about this? How did this come up in what context? And no matter how he said this, it wasn't going to work. Because clearly she was upset about it, and you shouldn't be talking about this in the first place. That conversation should have never left that room with you and Saxon. And then they got quiet for a second. And then he was like, but have you? And this pissed Piper off even more. And she swam away, which she should have, because, bruh, why would you say any of this? And this is why I say you shouldn't take advice from your brother, because he don't have any good ideas. And he's terrible at reading the room. So now I'm thinking little brother is weird for real, for real. He's still young, so he's more malleable. And I think like his thought process is already kind of working really good, but he's actually trying to find himself, and his brother is not the best influence for him. And I haven't seen enough to see what his father's influence would be on his love life. And it's interesting because I thought last episode that he was like a gay guy possibly, and he just didn't know how to deal with those thoughts, and he probably told Piper. But now I don't think he told anybody those thoughts. Now he's definitely a virgin, but he doesn't know who to talk to about it. He's just an awkward high school student. So then we jump over to the scene where Chelsea and Chloe are shopping. They're looking at clothes, they're looking at jewelry, and then all of a sudden a dude pops in. He robs the spot. He pulled out the gun and everything. So they're running, moving out the way, letting him just take all the stuff, and then he leaves. And so he gets to the gate, and Gaitok is sitting there, and he gets ready to open the gate, and Gaitok tries to stop him. Now, he's the definition of run up, get done up, because he tried to run up on that man and got clean knocked out with that pistol. I mean, he tried, though. And he got a little consolation prize after that, though, because Mook showed up before she went home. She was like, I just had to make sure you were okay. And he was like, I'm doing much better now. Can't believe you checked on me. And she was like, you were very brave. Mook, go ahead and let that man take you out somewhere. It'll be a fun date. I'm sure he'll be a gentleman. He'll take you wherever you want to go. To the movies, to the park. I'll have you home before it's dark. Just give him a chance. I hope he don't try to do nothing else to prove his bravery, though, because he got lucky this time. They just hit him with the gun. They didn't shoot him. The only thing I got out of this double date dinner that Rick and Chelsea had with Gary and Chloe was that neither one of the guys wanted to say what they did for a living. Both of them said this and that, which sounds like both of them are criminals. And we know Gary's still probably rolling off that Tanya money. And while sitting down enjoying her fine cuisine, Belinda just happened to look up and see Gary sitting at that table. And it was as if she saw a ghost. I can't wait to hear the exchange when she actually talks to him. So then we get to dinner, and the trio of friends is just sitting down there. They're waiting on Shatala to hit that stage. And when Shatala hit that stage, she actually was putting on that show. I was like, oh, so you were that girl back in the day. And of course, Rick was looking stank as hell per usual. And while this is going on, Tim finally got Kenny on that line. And Kenny is telling him, hey, man, the FBI, them alphabet boys done showed up to my building, done raided everything. They got all the information, my emails, every record. And Tim was like, am I implicated? And Kenny was like, absolutely, sir. You better have a good lawyer, like yesterday. And Tim was pissed. He was like, I can't believe I only got $10 million out of that raggedy deal I helped you with. I ain't really want to do it. And I'm thinking, you turned your nose up to $10 million. Tim, how much money do y'all actually have? Because maybe I need to be a Ratliff. So Shatala finishes her performance, and she stops at the table with Lori, Kate, and Jacqueline, and she says, hey, I appreciate y'all for coming. I'm going to hit up Bangkok. That's where my husband is. He done had another stroke, because he's had a few. And of course, Rick is over here ear hustling for the deets. So we get back to the Charlie's Angel Villa, and Kate, Lori, and Jacqueline are there, and Jacqueline decides to retire to her room. So now it's Kate and Lori's turn to be messy. And they wasted no time, because as soon as she left, they went to work. Lori was like, she is way too competitive. I thought she would have grown out of it by now, but maybe she's a narcissist. And Kate came back with the vanity girl. I mean, did she sandblast her face? I mean, she still looks good, but like, I mean, what's going on? And then Lori was like, girl, it's definitely more than the basics. Then they started attacking the marriage. They were like, man, it's weird that you talking about you that attached to your husband. Like, come on, man. You don't even be around him that much. I was like, damn, y'all gonna keep lighting this girl up? I believe it was Jadena that said true friends will stab you in the front, but these women are going for the jugular behind their backs. My thing is, if you're really cool with these people, if these are actually your friends, you can at least slide them to the side like panties in private and just say, psst, and give them that info that they need to hear because you care about them. That sounds too much like right, and y'all living for the mess. So then we get over to the room with Rick and Chelsea, and Rick is like, I'm so glad you found a friend, because I'm gonna have to go to Bangkok for a couple of days, because he finna go find out where Jim is. But he's not telling Chelsea why he's going over there. And then in the last scene, you see Tim over here struggling. He's trying to find him an attorney, and then he hears his family walking and talking to the villa, so he decides to go into the villa after he gets off the phone. And that's pretty much it. Overall, I think the episode was really good. I think the writing is going in the right direction. I think some of the storylines are getting interesting. We're finding out more information about people. I can't wait to see how these friends gon' work out. I'm really looking forward to this Ratliff sibling story to develop because I really don't want them brothers to be in any kind of incestuous anything. I really don't want it. Y'all might not be into it, but I want Gaitok and Mook to get together. Something tells me it won't happen, but I'm really hoping it does. What do y'all think of it? Did you enjoy the episode? Did I miss anything? What storylines are you most interested in following? Leave a comment down below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future content. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.